So now it's cold outside, it's windy outside. Not only that, but it gets dark around 5 p.m. If you're like me, sometimes you just get kind of fed up with it. You don't really want to be out every single weekend or have to play in the morning during the week in order to practice to still be competitive. But you don't want your game to deteriorate, and actually you still want to be working on it. So if you're like me and you can relate to that struggle, this video is for you. So here's 5 things that can still make you better at disc golf during the wintertime. The first one is pretty obvious. It's to continue playing. But when you're playing disc golf in the wintertime, I would highly suggest either playing short tees or heavily wooded courses. This is not really the time to focus on max distance or getting your driver to flex a certain way or throw it nose down and get to 550 feet for the first time. This is your time to work on hitting lines, work on your mental game, work on the short game. Because during the summertime, you probably don't want to do that anyways. Secondly, if you go play any wide open course in the wintertime, it's probably going to be very, very windy. And then third, usually at least in the woods, there's going to be some wood chips here and there, so you can avoid the mud if you happen to be in a place where it could be muddy. My second tip for you guys is, even if you don't feel like going to the course, I do suggest putting outside. Don't bring that basket inside the house. Now, I do have a few reasons why. If you're putting outside, the ground is uneven everywhere. There's also the wind element, so you get a lot of good practice. On top of that, if you plan on competing in the wintertime, you will still be fresh on the putting green as long as you keep putting outside. In my opinion, the only thing putting inside actually works on is repetition, getting your stroke down rather. That would be something you do inside. Otherwise, actually getting better at putting definitely happens outside. Because if you keep putting inside and inside and inside all winter long, the second you step outside and the ground's uneven, maybe there's sun in your eyes, maybe there's wind, maybe there's rain, etc., you're definitely not going to have all the skills from inside carry over, in my opinion. Number 3 is going to be plyometrics, or working out in general. The reason I say plyometrics is because you can use your body weight in an explosive way, and this is going to translate to more distance on the course. But more importantly, I think it'll help for your scramble game because you're going to develop a lot of core stability and strength doing these explosive movements. Now, I'm not going to give you any fitness advice or programs in this video. You can easily use ChatGPT to write you a little program. But if you're someone who already goes to the gym and you're a disc golfer and you are watching this video, body weight plyometrics could be useful in your rest days. Now, there's going to be a lot of people watching this video who are going to be AM3 for their whole life, who are going to drink beer and smoke on the course. So this video is not for you guys, but I think incorporating some explosive movements in your training program, whether you're going to the gym or just staying at home, would definitely help for disc golf in general. Now moving on to number 4, this is going to be studying disc golf videos, just what the pros do. And there's a few aspects of this. One is obviously style technique. So if you have a style technique or you're trying to learn how to throw farther or more accurate, you might be watching Isaac Robinson on throwing accurate in the woods. He's great. That's like, I think, his strongest suit. If you want to throw really far, maybe you're going to watch some older videos of Eagle McMahon. And I think the all-arounder best technique and form accuracy overall, probably Gannon Buhr. But these are just my opinions. But the other aspect is also kind of study what disc they're picking and maybe why. Try to think of why they're picking that disc. The reason I bring this up is, you know, if you've been playing a couple years, you might be like, oh, obviously that's why he's picking that disc, because it's overstable. Well, I've been playing disc golf for a very long time, and my friend Robert Burge, I was playing with him at Toboggan on a practice round, and this is something that I learned from him. I never even thought about it. I just thought I knew everything. And we get to hole 18 at Toboggan, and I try to throw a flip up sidearm understable that stands up, gets all the way up there, right? Realistically, I probably could throw that. He threw an overstable disc, and he's like, why don't you just throw your, that overstable disc at the time? I was like, oh yeah, why don't I try that? And I threw it really hard, and it was actually a really good drive. And now pretty much every time I go uphill on a similar type of shot, I throw an overstable disc instead of understable. One of the rules I've always heard from locals, older pros, is that if you're throwing uphill, always pick an understable disc because it's going to go farther. And if you're going downhill, pick an overstable disc. And now that is definitely a good place to start for advice, but clearly it doesn't work for every single case. So there's always something new out there I think you can learn. And on top of that, disc golf is still a relatively new game, so things are always evolving and changing. So your understanding of disc golf actually might be outdated for what's actually out there right now. And my fifth and final tip is to practice inside. You can use a net if you have a net, but honestly, I feel like I get some pretty good work for just not even using a net. I'm just focusing on the timing itself, because even the top pros, you're going to see shanks from them. Usually when that happens, if they don't slip on the pad or something, or their, grip is weird, it's probably because their timing is just ever so slightly off. Something is just a little bit off. Maybe their way they lined up is a little bit off, but something was off. And the more you work on that, the better you get it down, the more consistent you're going to be on the course. So whether you're holding a disc or not holding a disc, I feel like just going through your motion of throwing definitely helps a lot, even if you're actually not seeing that disc fly out of your hand. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.